It is morning in Los Angeles and it's morning in America. I am your host, KC Phoenix, and this is my morning political thought. All right, let's get the social media stuff out the way. ThePurpleElephantShow.com, main podcasting platform. There you can listen to all of the Purple Elephant Show episodes and even the podcast only episodes, which are exclusive to the podcast. Also, you can follow on Parler, The Purple Elephant Show. You can follow on Instagram, The Purple Elephant Show, on Facebook.com/, The Purple Elephant Show. If you are watching this on BitChute, YouTube, Daily Motion, you can click the subscribe button. And for YouTube, you have to do it followed by the notification bell. Also, if you want to follow on Twitter, it is at RealTPES on Twitter to follow there. All right. So, the big experiment, it was a failure, is what it was. I'm working out this webcam stuff. As you can see, I'm doing a new type setup and I'm trying to combine with the stories. My laptop is literally right next to me for those who don't know. And I'm working on doing the picture within the laptop, which I can do it, but when I attempted to this morning, the microphone wasn't working, other things were happening, and it's all an experiment, which this is what I will be working on this weekend, perfecting this, which something that should be very simple for some. I know some tech stuff, but I don't dig deep into it unless I absolutely have to. So this is one of these I absolutely have to, and I will be digging into it this weekend, which is why there will only be one episode of the Purple Elephant Show this weekend when I record. I will spend the rest of my time doing the administrative stuff behind the scenes, learning how to get this done. And also there's some other things related to the show that I am working on that is actually helping the show evolve. And I thank all of you for that, because I wouldn't even be able to do some of this stuff if it wasn't for those who were listening to the podcast. And as I say before, and it's on both my channels. I have two channels. I have one where I don't deal with politics at all, and then I have this channel where I deal with politics. And for both channels, it always seems that I have more podcast listeners than video watchers. Even though with BitChute, people on BitChute, they seem to watch the videos on there. YouTube, I guess I get thrown, it's so saturated and everything is thrown in there. But BitChute, I seem to have a lot more views on BitChute, which is pretty cool. But podcast-wise, I have more listeners all over the world. All right. Now, I'm only doing 3 articles this morning. So I will read those articles and then, of course, throughout the process, give my opinion while I'm reading. The first one, for people who may not know, which this irritates me to no end, this particular article, is with Colorado. Colorado has a proposition. It's Proposition 115. And it's about ending abortions up to birth. Why this is a discussion at all is beyond my comprehension. Just like some of this technical stuff is beyond my comprehension, why this abortion up to birth is a discussion, that's beyond my comprehension. I don't get it. So whatever. But I just wanted to let you guys know that's one of the news stories that's happening right now. And I'll go ahead and read this. This is from the Washington Times for those who want to know my source. On the ballot is Proposition 115, which would enact a 22-week limit on abortions in Colorado, one of 6 states and the District of Columbia that have no restrictions on when abortions may be performed. And see, I didn't know that. I didn't know there were no restrictions in 6 states. So Colorado is one of 6 states. So this Proposition 115 is to limit that to 22 weeks. In a blue trending state with a record of rejecting pro-life initiatives, Proposition 115 starts at a disadvantage. But Giuliani Day, or Giuliana Day, I'm thinking Rudy Giuliani, Giuliana Day, an organizer of Profile Due to Late let me start over. An organizer of the profile Due Date Too Late group said she believes some liberal Democrats will get behind the measure. I feel strongly that we're going to be able to win this one because this is so reasonable, Ms. Day said. I go into the community all the time, and it's so shocking for people every time I tell them there are no restrictions. You can actually abort a baby until the moment of birth in Colorado. Everyone would be shocked. Duh. A Colorado Politics 9 News poll released last week showed voters virtually split on Proposition 115, with 42% in favor of Proposition 115, 45% opposed, and 13% undecided. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. You don't even have to be religious. If you have an 8-month-old baby, and I know they always try to bring that stuff up, like, oh, well, what if the life of the mother is in danger and all that? That stuff is, I believe, less than 2%. It's some low, small number. And it amazes me when they always bring that up. Or either they talk about incest and all of that stuff is rare. It's really, really rare. To think, and like I said, you don't even have to bring religion into this. To think that someone could just say, oh, well, I'm up to 8 months, I don't think I want the baby. That's ridiculous to me. Anyways, the race is close, even though proponents have been massively outraged by the No on 115 campaign, which has behind it the state's Democratic establishment, starting with Governor Jared Polis and former Governor John Hickenlooper, who is challenging Senator Cory Gardner, a Republican. The campaign has drawn national interest. High-profile opponents of the measure include Gloria Steinem and former Planned Parenthood CEO Cecile Richards, as well as national pro-choice powerhouses such as Planned Parenthood and Narelle Pro-Choice America. No on 115 spokeswoman Stephanie Clark argued that there is nothing reasonable about prohibiting women from accessing the medical care they need. Okay, first of all, how is this prohibiting women from accessing medical care? I just read at the very beginning. Let me read this again. On the ballot is Proposition 115, which would enact a 22-week limit. It didn't say a complete ban. It said a 22-week limit, which I'm still kind of, uneasy with. But still, they didn't say, okay, Prop 115 is a ban. They didn't say that. They said a 22-week limit. So then she comes down and says that it's keeping women from accessing the medical care they need. Make it make sense. And then she says, Proposition 115 is a ban with no exceptions. See, here we go. What did I just say at the beginning? What did I say at the beginning? Here we go. This is what she says. Proposition 115 is a ban with no exceptions for rape, incest, risk to a pregnant woman's health, or if she receives a lethal fetal diagnosis and her pregnancy will never become viable. She said in an email, it's cruel, medically inappropriate, and will harm Colorado women and families. These people, this burns my bacon. Anyways, let me keep going. The No on 115 camp has amassed a war chest of about $7.5 million, while proponents have yet to hit the $500,000 mark. Their largest donation was $50,000 from the Archdiocese of Denver. Even before its leftward turn, Colorado had a history of defeating pro-choice measures. Voters overwhelmingly rejected personhood initiatives, which would have recognized the unborn as people in 2008, 2010, and 2014. What may be different this year is that the 22-week limit, which supporters describe as the point at which the unborn can feel pain, has become widespread. About half of the states have 20, 22, and 24-week limits, typically with exceptions for the life or health of the mother. Another dozen states draw the line at fetal viability. In fact, the 22-week pain capable threshold has become far less controversial than the recent push in state legislatures for heartbeat bills, which prohibit most abortions after the fetal heartbeat can be detected, typically at 6 to 8 weeks of gestation. Despite the no on 115 camp's hefty ad budget, the measure has received relatively little attention. Given the high profile of the presidential and Senate races, the No on 115 campaign has argued that the decision should be left to the patients and their families and in consultation with their healthcare providers, free from political interference, while supporters have countered that the measure will prevent late-term abortions. The pro-115 group End Birthday Abortions makes the point with a website that features a photo of an empty high chair with a birthday cupcake with one candle. In the state of Colorado, it is illegal to have an abortion at any point in a pregnancy for any reason, the website reads. Women can be in labor and still choose an abortion, and they do. Opponents have countered that late-term abortions are incredibly rare and that the measure represents a one-size-fits-all mandate that ignores the uniqueness of each pregnancy. The measure includes a misdemeanor penalty subject to fines for any medical provider who performs or attempts to perform an abortion, but it prohibits the pregnant woman from being charged with the crime. The state's two largest newspapers are split. The Denver Post has come out against the measure, saying, "Don't put the government in OBGYN offices," while the Colorado Springs Gazette has supported it. The overwhelming majority of states, 43 of them, have placed restrictions on abortion later in pregnancy. It's time for Colorado to tap the brakes as well, says the Gazette staff editorial. So that is the article on Prop 115, which is happening in Colorado right now. And hopefully they can put a ban on, well, not a ban on abortions, but put a limit at 22 weeks, I believe, a 22-week limit on the abortions. I honestly believe there's room for compromise here a little bit. I don't believe there's room for compromise on the 22 weeks. Honestly, I would prefer for it to be less than 22 weeks. But I believe there's a room for compromise where they're saying the opponents of it are saying that there isn't anything in there in regards to incest, life of the mother, those things. Okay, fine. Then let's update the language and include that stuff. And I bet you, if they were to update the language and include those things that were mentioned, they find another reason. Some of these people, they want women to be able to have abortions up until birth. And it's sick, is what it is. I'm just gonna call it for what it is. I'm not gonna pull any punches on that. It's sick. So, yeah. Okay, second news story, which I'm so happy about. President Trump mentioned this yesterday during his rally, which President Trump is on the move. He did a rally yesterday. He should be doing another rally today, and then he's doing a town hall tonight, which is another article I plan to read in a minute. But he mentioned Bruce Orr. For those of you who don't know who Bruce Orr is the husband of Nellie Orr. Bruce Orr worked at DOJ. Nellie Orr worked at Fusion GPS. For those of you who don't know what Fusion GPS is, Fusion GPS is the company that is affiliated with Glenn Simpson and the company that was contracted by the DNC and Hillary Clinton to create the fake dossier. The money that was sent to Fusion GPS was done through the law firm Perkins Coie. But Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson and Christopher Steele, Nellie Orr worked for Fusion GPS, and Bruce Orr and Nellie Orr are married. So Nellie Orr was working for Fusion GPS, the company that was creating this fake dossier with Christopher Steele, who couldn't even verify it, and under an interrogatory, under oath, said he could not verify it. And then Bruce Orr was at the DOJ, so there was information going back and forth on this. So you can, and it wasn't, it, I don't say collusion because legally, and you can look this up, collusion is not a crime. This was a conspiracy. Conspiracy is a crime in the legal term. But anyways, let me get to this article. All right. Orr resigns from position amid disciplinary review. Bruce Orr, a veteran Justice Department official who ties to British former spy Christopher Steele, led to his 2017 demotion, resigned from the department while awaiting the results of the disciplinary review. A department spokesperson said Wednesday Bruce Orr retired from the Department of Justice on September 30th, 2020. As such, he is no longer an employee of the department. Justice Department spokeswoman Carrie Kupek said in a statement, Mr. Orr retired after his counsel was informed that a final decision on a disciplinary review being conducted by the department senior career official was imminent. The statement continued. The disciplinary review against Mr. Orr was initiated as a referral from Justice Department Inspector General Michael E. Horowitz report last year on the origins of the Russia collusion probe. Mr. Horowitz concluded that Mr. Orr showed consequential errors in judgments. You think? By telling Justice Department leadership or his supervisors that he had met with Mr. Steele. The dossier compiled by Mr. Steele is full of unverified salacious allegations tying President Trump to Russians who meddled in the 2016 election. Mr. Steele authored the dossier for research firm Fusion GPS as opposition research for Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. Mr. Orr's wife, Nellie Orr, worked for Fusion GPS at the time, despite having dumped Mr. Steele as a confidential source in November 2016. The FBI team investigating links between Mr. Trump and Russia received information from him through Mr. Orr, the Inspector General concluded. Mr. Orr met with the FBI on 13 occasions to pass along information from Mr. Steele. Mr. Orr said he could not recall the FBI asking him to take a specific action, but was told to let the FBI know when he received information from the spy. Mr. Horowitz said Mr. Orr's ties to the Steele dossier and his role in disseminating it ultimately led to his demotion in December 2017. At the time, he was the fourth-ranking official at the Justice Department. In 2018, he also lost his position as director of the Organized Drug Enforcement Task Force and removed as a counselor for international affairs in the criminal division. However, he continued working at the department even as Mr. Trump repeatedly. Why do they call him Mr. Trump? That's Washington Times. You need to do better as President Trump. Even though President Trump repeatedly blasted Mr. Orr and Mrs. Orr on Twitter in public statements. So that's what that is. Bruce Orr resigned. President Trump called it out and said that he was happy yesterday at the rally in Iowa. I believe his rally today is in North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, or it's tomorrow in North Carolina, but I'm pretty sure he's doing a rally today. And I know he's doing a town hall tonight, which I'm about to get into in a second. I will say that I agree with the president. There should have been something more than him being demoted. He should have been, in my eyes, indicted. I hope that this is another part of John Durham's investigation that he pulls together later on. I don't know. Time will tell. So we're going to see what happens. It may end up being a big nothing burger, but if President Trump wins, which I believe he will, as long as everything's on the up and up with the Congress, of course, House and Senate, and there won't be any drama from that end, I'm confident that John Durham will produce something of substance. That I am confident of. So we'll see what happens. And let me get to this final article. President Trump is doing a town hall tonight, but also Joe Biden is doing a town hall. President Trump's is on NBC and Joe Biden should be on ABC, and we'll probably, it'll probably say that in a second when I read the article. But like I say, I do a lot of things from memory. So we'll see. And I also need to take a sip of my water because all this reading. Woo! All right. So, Trump Biden to hold competing town hall events 1,000 miles apart. Critics baffled as to why candidates can't share stage. Well, the reason they can't share the stage is because Joe Biden doesn't want to be on the stage with President Trump because A, he's scared, and B, when it comes to the debates, the debate commission said they did not want President Trump on the stage due to his previous or his recent diagnosis, even though President Trump is tested negative now and he is good to go. So the debate commission is just using President Trump's recent diagnosis as an excuse to cover for Joe Biden and to also control what President Trump says, because they were looking to do a debate, a virtual debate, and through a virtual debate, it would be easier to control what President Trump said because they could mute his mic and do that. But on stage, it would be harder to control President Trump. So President Trump's just like, forget it. So now with these town halls, this is where we are. And I wonder what the ratings will be, because obviously if the ratings are higher for President Trump will be sure to tweet about it. We know how President Trump is. You gotta love him. But anyways, let me go ahead and get to this article. Talk about social distancing. President Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joseph R. Biden are set to square off in competing TV town hall events that are more than 1,000 miles apart on Thursday. The setup has voters wondering why they can't be on the same stage for a more conventional face-off less than 3 weeks until the election. The reality here is that they should be on the stage, said Eric Beach, founder of the pro-Trump group Great America PAC. Yes, it may get out of line. It may have rhetoric that is not very flattering, but you're competing for the highest office in the land. And you need to be able to counter each other, position your ideas, and contrast each other. NBC News will host an hour-long socially distanced town hall with President Trump and Florida voters in Miami starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So see, I was right. President Trump is going to be on NBC. Mr. Biden has a 90-minute ABC town hall in Philadelphia that starts at the same time. And I was correct about that. I love my memory. I'm thankful for it. All right. Shauna Thomas, executive director of anti-sexism group Ultraviolet, said NBC is bailing Mr. Trump out after he was afraid to debate Mr. Biden. From Access Hollywood to the upcoming town hall, NBC has enabled Donald Trump for decades, Mrs. Thomas said. By hosting the town hall for Donald Trump, NBC is complicit in his attacks on our democracy and democratic processes. Hyperbolic much? The network suggested it was essentially giving equal time to Mr. Trump after NBC anchor Lester Holt moderated a town hall discussion with Mr. Biden on October the 5th in the same time slot and format. The Commission on Presidential Debates canceled the October 15th debate between Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden last week after the president balked at plans to change it to a virtual format because of his diagnosis. The president's team pushed for the commission to reconsider and hold an in-person debate as scheduled. President Trump has been back on the campaign trail since Monday after his physician said he was no longer at risk of spreading the virus. Mr. Trump announced on October 2nd he tested positive for the virus and was subsequently hospitaled at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center for several days. NBC said it set up the TV town hall after federal health officials, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, reviewed Mr. Trump's recent health data and concluded with a high degree of confidence that he is not shedding infectious virus. The data included a PCR test collected and analyzed by the National Institutes of Health, where Dr. Fauci serves as director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. I cannot wait for them to get rid of him. Hopefully he will be gone during President Trump's next term. That's not in the article, I'm saying that. As for the article, NBC said Mr. Trump and moderator Savannah Guthrie will be at least 12 feet apart from each other and the audience, which will be socially distanced and will be required to wear a mask and take a temperature check beforehand. Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden are still set to square off at their second and final in-person debate in Nashville, Tennessee on October the 22nd. The announcement Wednesday also prompted questions as to why NBC scheduled the event directly compete with Mr. Biden's depriving viewers of the chance at watching both candidates live. It's called ratings. Ratings. It's called competition. Some people are so slow. The NBC event will also air on MSNBC and CNBC, increasing the likelihood that more TV viewers will be watching President Trump on Thursday compared to Mr. Biden. NBC's October 5th town hall with Mr. Biden attracted 6.7 million viewers across 3 networks, with an NBC audience of about 3.9 million. The ABC town hall with President Trump last month drew 3.8 million viewers. More than 73 million viewers tuned in for the September 29th presidential debate. My numbers were right, as I mentioned before, about the debate. My guesstimate was right on my estimate. Though the town halls are unlikely to attract the same level of viewership, Great America PAC's Mr. Beach said the format will likely benefit Mr. Trump. By going on NBC, that's not a pro-Trump audience, and he's able to not only compete in terms of ratings, but also have a message that goes out to a little bit of a different audience than he's used to, he said. He said Mr. Biden and the debate commission are to blame for the canceled debate. If Mr. Biden wants ratings, he needs to answer the questions. And he hasn't been able to do that, Mr. Beach said. So if he's not able to do that and ABC's not willing to push him on it, then nobody's going to watch his town hall anyhow. So that's what we have on that. These articles can be long. And this is why I like to do just bits and pieces of articles and then give my opinion on them, because we've already went into 30 minutes of me reading the article. So yeah, I prefer the other format, but I will still bring up, and that's what I'm going to work on this weekend, I will still bring up the articles just for source purposes so people will be able to see in the future. I'll be working on that this weekend. Thank you everyone who's been kind enough to listen to the podcast, who's been kind enough to follow the podcast and share and like and comment and all of that other stuff. I really appreciate it. And thepurpleelephantShow.com main podcasting platform, The Purple Elephant Show on Instagram, on Parler, Facebook.com, The Purple Elephant Show, on Twitter at RealTPS, TPES. If you are watching this on BitChute, YouTube, Dailymotion, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, followed by the notification bell on YouTube. Again, thank you. Your support always means more to me than you will ever know. Until next time, be blessed.